What was the drug and alcohol scene like at WCW?
It depends if you're alcoholic and a drug addict.
Right.
It was there. It existed.
Right.
You saw a lot of the guys afterwards in the bars or the hotels, just walking around in slow motion. Actually witnessed guys prior to matches just zonked. There was one particular guy that I met the first time I met him. He was eating a sandwich. It took him 45 minutes to eat the sandwich. He had mayonnaise, mustard all over his chin and his face because he was just out of it. But he was able to wrestle.
Right.
In that condition. And wrestlers, we're a different breed of athletes or entertainers because we're able to consume outrageous amount of alcohol and drugs, which I'm not, glorifying this, but it's just over a period of time and the years of doing it, you're able to function and to work. And without mentioning names, there are many guys that go in there stoned or drunk and work. And it's not just in World Championship Wrestling. In Mexico, the guys are notorious for drinking. In Japan too. So,
what about you personally, as far as drugs and alcohol? Did you ever?
I would say the turning point was going to Mexico, and to me it was just totally foreign having alcohol in a locker room. You know what I mean? It was just weird. But all the boys had a little bottle of whiskey or tequila or something, and I remember wrestling a match, and they wanted me to do a tope up the top rope, which I don't fly. I don't fly at all. I said, "No, amigo, I can't do that." He goes, "Yeah, you can do it." I said, "No, have a little sip of this." I came off that thing like a big black elephant. Catch me. And then back then I was working so much. It was hard to sleep because, as I said before, you were traveling a lot on buses. I would get home at 4 a.m. I had to do an interview at 9, and I found myself taking pills, sleeping pills, taking muscle relaxers. But I was always, thank God, I was always strong enough to be able to control it.
Right.
Plus, in Mexico, it was so easy to get it because in Mexico, your prescription is money.
Right.
If you have money, it's like, hey, you can get whatever you need. But, I went through that phase, but it never really affected me in the way that it affected a lot of guys with the drinking and the pills. So,
what are your thoughts on what happened with Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff backstage and their politics?
I think at that time, and I think that Ric Flair is one of the greatest performers ever. And he's just so good. Even now, he's able just to walk the aisle and still get a tremendous pop. And I felt that both guys felt that they were being disrespected. Flair for being Ric Flair, and Eric Bischoff for being the man who took World Championship Wrestling to another level. And once you get to that stage in wrestling, there's egos involved. And I'm sure Ric Flair was upset that he wasn't being respected and vice versa. So, it boils down to nitty-gritty things about, I think Rick had his son Reed had a wrestling tournament somewhere.
Right.
But I'm sure there was a lot of other issues that were involved in that.
What was the vibe like when Bret Hart came over to the company?
Bret Hart was... I personally felt it was a positive because, you're talking a former world champion for World Championship Wrestling, household name, an all-star player, if you will. So he joins the team, and, I'm only thinking good things. And I couldn't believe the way they brought him in, and he was making so much money and doing absolutely nothing. He was like me, but basically just flying in for a free meal.
I was going to ask you that, actually. Did you ever find a lack of consistency with your programs and feuds?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I do 2 or 3 months, work every show, the pay-per-views, and then I'll be off for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
2 or 3 months again, off for 2 or 3 months. And I mentioned this to my friends, and they say, well, you get paid, right? I said, yeah, you get paid. The first week is fine. It's like, thank God I got a week off. I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to catch a plane. But the second week and third week, just thinking to myself, okay, am I going to get a phone call this week saying, Norman, you're fired? So it's stressful because, you want to go out and enjoy yourself, go shopping or whatever. But the present check you have, you don't know if it's your final check. So, you curb your spending, and it's stressful, as I said.
Did you ever become unmotivated in WCW because of this, or?
I became unmotivated in the sense that you saw a lot of things happen. You saw certain guys get hurt and they were sent home and their money was cut.
Right.
Unduly, I think. I think when you have a guy who's going out and putting his body on the line, certain guys like my friend Crowbar, who just had the initiative just to be so creative and take unnecessary bumps and volunteer himself to do it. I remember he took a bump off the top of the Jumbotron in front of something, and I just felt at that time that if he got hurt trying to make the show a better show in combination of trying to make a name for himself, the only thing that's going to happen, he'll be sent home and his money will be cut and they'll forget about him. So at times I just felt unmotivated as giving 100% because you didn't know what was going to happen. And it was more apparent during the time that I was involved in those hardcore matches, because any little thing, any miscalculation, a splinter, a screw, a mistiming, anything can happen in those matches.
As far as you being a veteran, we're going to talk about the hardcore stuff soon.
Yeah.
But as far as you being a veteran in the locker room, and then you see Bill Goldberg get the big push, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, did it make you pissed off that here you are?
No, because Goldberg is one of those wrestlers that comes along once every 10 years. As I was saying earlier, there's not too many guys that can actually have a wrestling lesson within a year and then have beat Hulk Hogan in front of 40,000 people live on TV. So I mean, that just doesn't happen. So and it was one of those things where it was a treat for me to be there and witness his rise, because just him coming out to matches and people screaming his name and the pyros going up and you're seeing him standing there. I actually had the honor of wrestling him once. It wasn't a hell of a match at all, but just standing in the ring, seeing him come down the ramp, people screaming his name, it's like, my Lord, what a feeling, But I wasn't jealous or envious or anything, because I know that I could never be Bill Goldberg, and Bill Goldberg could never be Norman Smiley, and vice versa. I couldn't be La Parka couldn't be Buff Bagwell. We all are who we are and what we are. It just so happens that at that time, Bill Goldberg was the person that was a connection and a big hit.
As far as Bill Goldberg goes, what do you think happened as far as dropping the ball with his push? And he was the next big thing in wrestling. What do you think went wrong? Politics? I
believe to a certain point that the whole thing with Bill, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, was a fluke, in the sense that he went through the training at the power plant, but I don't think that he was seasoned enough to have matches, whereas the WWF took time out and had the patience to create Kurt Angle,
right?
Who was a medalist in the Olympics, right? So obviously he's a natural wrestler, but looking at it now on TV, you would never think that he even had an amateur wrestling lesson. But they took the time out, and put him on dark matches, and he wrestled, I guess, in Heartland and Cincinnati somewhere. But with Bill, they had to shorten his matches because he couldn't work. But that's what actually got him over. His aggressiveness, his high impact moves, his intensity as he approached the ring, were really his assets. So I've got the question. I'm just rambling on now. I'm sorry.
No, you pretty much answered it.
Yeah. Okay.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.